Winning at sports and at sports broadcasting means changing things up.
Just like La Quinta Inns and Suites is changing up their look.
A renovated lobby that's so contemporary it even makes Golic look cool.
Yes, it does. And a totally updated fitness center that even has Wingo feeling like a workout.
I'm ripped. Plus plenty of comfortable spaces to hang out.
Yep, this La Quinta look definitely has a vibe of victory.
So you can just relax, refresh, and get ready for your next big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com.
This is the Best of Golic and Wingo podcast.
Happy Friday, everybody. We made it. Yay. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN News as the Australian Open coverage continues on ESPN2. And once that match with Jelena Ostapenko is over, the reigning French Open champion, we will bounce over to that on the TV side. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Trey Wingo, Mike Golic Jr. You know, on NFL Live, we always call this the day before the day before.
Yep.
And we're looking at the day before conference championship Sunday in the NFL. I think it's the single greatest day in the history of the entire season. What about you?
And it's over too quickly.
Yes.
I mean, that's what, Mike, I heard you talking about this morning. We're getting close. We're getting close to the end of football. So that's always kind of hanging there. I so look forward, obviously, to last weekend, the divisional games, and this one, the setup. I think we could have two really good games here. But always floating in the back of my mind is come around 9:30 on Sunday. That part of it's done. We only have one more game because I don't know if we really count the Pro Bowl, you know. So we have one more real game. So that it just kind of hangs there like a black cloud in my head about how much I'm looking forward to Sunday. But then the ultimate realization that it's just about done
when it's over.
Yeah. I think for me that's why I'll take the divisional round a little bit better because I still go, oh man, I have so much football that comes after this still, and it's a lot of really good stuff that I can really bask in the divisional round without a lot of the nerves.
By the way, I gotta say, I'm so mad at you, Junior. I'm so mad at you.
Yeah, I'm interested.
You're mad at Mike?
I'm very mad at your son. Very mad at him.
Did you do something yesterday?
No, today. First of all, I'm excited. It's a Friday.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
We got conference championship
Sure.
Sunday.
Woo.
It's the greatest thing in the world. And I'm
Baby.
driving in at, it's like 12 degrees. And I'm thinking, okay, this isn't so bad because it was like 4 the previous week. And then he goes off and starts talking about that golfing rat pack of Smiley Kaufman, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, and Ricky Fowler.
Oh, yeah.
How they're all freaking loaded and they go on these great trips and they fly their private jets wherever they want. And I start realizing how miserable my existence is compared to them at the age of 24.
Yeah,
I was feeling pretty good about the way things are setting up for me. And then you have to bring them up and I feel like the biggest schmuck in the world.
Tumbling, man, isn't it? Slice of humble pie for Friday morning.
Thanks a lot.
The context of that was buddies?
Sports best friends, because there was that great piece on Belichick and Nick Saban and their friendship and how coaching friendships really aren't the same as normal celebrity friendships because coaches are largely miserable and most of their time is spent just, breaking down cover 2 and game tape, which is fine and good for that portion of things. But I said, if you want to let me go party with someone, give me that golf rat pack. Like, their life is great. I want to hang out with those guys. They're all rich.
Wow, that is true. Right? The private jet. And they're what, 24, 26, 25?
They're significantly younger.
Yeah.
Oh, also significantly richer.
And better looking, tanner,
Stop it.
The list goes on and on.
I may not make it to 10 o'clock this morning. If you don't stop talking about those guys.
Okay, I get it.
You understand?
The only thing they're missing is is when you think of the football or the bat, they look like, these good-looking these golfers don't look, they're not overly large. Yeah, you know what I mean?
They're lithe. But they're limber.
Think about it. They don't have a pin in their shoulder like you do.
True.
Their bodies work fine.
Stop it.
And they're going to work fine going forward because they're young and rich and tan.
Boy, it is really a good life, isn't it?
Yeah, and now it's like 4 degrees.
Kind of brought you back down?
Yeah, a cold slap.
Kind of added to your 20th straight day of work.
20th straight day of work.
Doing some NFL.
What are you doing to me, man?
So you said their life is great, your life stinks?
Pretty much almost at the end of the football season. What are you doing?
Wow.
What are you doing to me?
Sorry, I didn't think of the trays this
cold
morning.
Slap in the face.
I'll keep you in mind more going forward.
All right, here's what we got coming up on the show. Sal Paolantonio will join us. A.J. Bouye, one of the great Jags corners, will join us at 7:45. 8:30, Darren Woodson will be in here to talk about conference championships. He was 3-0 in those games in his career. 3-1, actually. I apologize.
There you go.
Jeff Darlington will be here at 9:05. And Teddy Atlas will join us at 9:30, talk about the fights coming up this weekend. We have a lot to get into, so let's start delving into it right now.
It's time for Off the Top.
Whether you like it or not, it's just beginning.
With Golic and Wingo.
All right, we start in hockey off the top. In a meeting between the two top teams in the NHL, the Golden Knights beat the Lightning 4-1. How about Vegas, reaching 30 wins in its first 44 games, Mike?
Really impressive. It's the fewest games needed to reach 30 wins by an expansion team. You go back to the Florida Panthers back in 93, they needed 69 games, as did the Flyers in 1967-68 season. So pretty impressive what they've done. They're 12-3 against teams that have made it to the Cup final the previous 5 seasons, and they improved to 19-1-0 when scoring first, the fewest losses when scoring first of any team in the NHL. You can't ask for not only an expansion team, but we finally have pro sports in Vegas that we're getting over that stigma and that hump. So an expansion team and in Vegas and how well they're doing.
It's a good thing because it shows that the model can work. It's a bad thing because now you're the Raiders looking at this going, oh, so we actually have to win coming over here now. Like, this team has done really well to start things off, and that's the standard for us. Good luck.
Look, it's a great story because a lot of people were very concerned. Is it going to work?
Right.
You know, with all the they've come out there and they've killed it. You know,
they've done well in attendance with they have 41 home games as compared to 8 with what the Raiders will have.
Yeah, and the thing is, people are like, well, will there really be a home ice or for football a home field advantage because so many of the other cities will want to, fans will want to come in there. All that has played out perfectly. So kudos to the Golden Knights for the things and they've been able to do and the amazing success they've been able to have.
Off the top.
Hey, guess what? The Cavs won a game, but it was a lot closer than it needed to be. They led by 20 at half, but hung on to beat the Magic by just 1 point on Wednesday, Mike.
Unbelievable. 20 points at halftime, but they shot 1 of 17 from three-point land in the second half. Were outscored by 19. Isaiah Thomas hit a couple of late free throws here. Cleveland had 3 assists in the second half. LeBron James had no assists and 4 turnovers in the second half, which means they got up by 20 and they played a lot of, hey, I'm just going to dribble the ball down and I'm going to do a lot of one-on-one and a whole lot of standing around, which Isaiah Thomas said after the game, that's something we have to get out of that habit of just playing that one-on-one ball.
And that's really always kind of been the Achilles heel of LeBron James-led team, where even going back to Miami, you'd see times where the rest of the team gets caught ball watching when you've got a guy that's as singularly dominant as LeBron James. And like anything else, when stuff goes wrong and they really got to dig deep for what to talk about, whose name do they bring up? It's Kevin Love. It's the number one name coming out of this game. It'll be the number one name going forward for them as they try and find some way, because he's been a guy that's had an interesting time trying to coexist in that offense since Isaiah Thomas came back.
Well, look, the more shots Isaiah Thomas takes, the less there are for Kevin Love and to try to get him into the flow. So it's interesting because, you know, I feel like any other year they treat this game like a loss. You know, even though they won it, but they've been playing so poorly, and they had a 4-game losing streak, 3-9 going into this. They'll take any win they can get, even though it's against a cellar-dwelling team like
exactly
Orlando.
Right. And how bad are they in the second half? Since Christmas Day, points per game differential, field goal percentage, points in the paint they're giving up, and opponents' 3-point field goals, they're all dead last in the league. Doesn't bode well.
No, they got a lot they got to figure out. There's no question. All right, let's stay on NBA in
Off the Top.
The NBA All-Stars were announced on Thursday, and as the leading vote-getters in their respective conferences, LeBron James and Steph Curry will serve as the captains. James will start in his 14th straight All-Star game, breaking a tie with Bob Cousy for the most consecutive All-Star games in NBA history.
This one is so we have the starters in the East: Kyrie Irving, DeMar DeRozan, LeBron, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid. There's a story behind that one as well, making his first All-Star game. And in the West, Steph Curry, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, DeMarcus Cousins, the teammates there of Davis and Boogie Cousins. So now forget the conferences. It's going to be LeBron and it's going to be Steph Curry that are captains. They're going to do old style pick 'em like on the schoolyard. Yet it's not going to be like that. We're going to get into that in a little while of that move and what they've done. Another sport had done it in the past as well. But what's interesting, there's a player vote involved in this as well. Players, fans, and others who vote in this. The players, the leading vote getter from the player side, Antetokounmpo. He had 226 votes. LeBron James had 220.
Wow. It is interesting how the player politics play a role in a lot of this. You saw in the voting, Russell Westbrook, a lot of votes down in that as well. You can very clearly see the guys that are, either respected or really just disliked by their teammates, because there's some that are hard to explain away. Draymond Green's another guy that gets a lot of that. So in general, you can see the sort of popularity contest. A lot of this is like high school, and the one area they failed in is the most high school of all for the NBA All-Star Game.
So you're saying personalities and feelings went a long way in all of this.
Yeah, they did.
Might have been nice then to see that play out like it did in the NHL draft a couple of years ago.
Would've.
We'll get into that.
Yes, we will.
A little bit later, but we continue.
Off the top.
The Rockets beat the Timberwolves 116-98 in James Harden's return after missing 7 games with a hammy. Harden scored 10 points, snapping his franchise record 36-game streak of at least 20 or more.
Yeah, so he was obviously a little rusty coming back, but the team does well. It was the Rockets' 18th win by 15 points or more. It's amazing, though, when the breakdown of plus-minus, when Chris Paul is just on the court, not with Harden, they were plus 26. Harden just on the floor without Paul, -8. Both of them -3. So been a little difference there, but obviously they need both those guys if they're going to try and make any headway at all, which is what everybody's trying to do, just make headway against Golden State. But good to get them back, knock some of the rust off.
Yeah, and I think going back to the early formula for success in them in the season, it was how well each of the units did when you could split them up, when you could have one of the guys on the court at any given time, because we talked about this the other day, and when I mentioned Golden State's health being one of the main reasons for their success yesterday, people also pointed out that, well, no, it's the depth that they can just keep throwing these guys at you, and so you've got to be able to attack them and have someone on the floor capable of holding up against them at all times, and that's what the Rockets have going for them well right now, is at the point guard position, they're as good as anyone at all times on the court.
They are. And that was off the top. We have an NBA doubleheader tomorrow, by the way, on ABC. Oklahoma City heads to Cleveland to take on LeBron and the Cavs at 3:30 Eastern. Then at 8:30 Eastern, the two top teams in the West, the Warriors and the Rockets, square off in Houston. LeBron is just 25 points shy of becoming the 7th player in NBA history to reach 30,000 points. And we think he'll be in the zone tomorrow, which is brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Speaking of getting in the zone, let's get into a football frame of mind, shall we? It is here. I believe the single greatest day of the entire football season, regular and post, Championship Sunday, because you have 2 games with the Super Bowl on the line, and everybody wants to get to the Super Bowl and win it, but to win it, you got to get there. And you never want to come this close and fall just short. So it's Championship Sunday, and on this Championship Friday, we put it out on our Twitter feed. What are your oddly specific predictions for Championship Sunday?
Love it.
Put it out there, Golic and Wingo, hashtag oddly specific. We saw some great ones in the divisional round.
I love when everybody does this. And listen, I never got this far. The closest I got was divisional after we beat the Saints. The Saints in a wild card, went to divisional, play the Cowboys, lost, and they won that year. They won the 92 season, that Super Bowl. So I never got as far as a conference championship game or even the Super Bowl. But that line of, I remember Joe Theismann threw it out, I'd rather not go to the Super Bowl than go to the Super Bowl and lose. I so laugh at that as being ridiculous and easy to say when you have a Super Bowl ring already. I have to believe it's got to be worse to lose this Sunday.
Yeah.
To not even, to be the game away and then not get there and lose on Sunday. Because I get to the Super Bowl and lose, okay, I'm not going to like it. You want to give me the Buffalo Bills going to 4 straight and losing them all? Okay. You want to make me a punchline?
Because you had your chance.
You want to make me a punchline?
Right? You had your
Absolutely
chance.
right. I was there. I was one of the last 2 standing, so I'll take that. You lose this Sunday, man, and you don't even get there. You're kind of your season's done now with no payoff from that. Boy, that's got to be a killer.
There's a different feeling in being the only show in town, right? Yep. And when you're the NFL, it's different than even college football, where you really are the last remnant of football that we have for the season. If anyone is coming to the product, they're coming to you for that. So your point, yeah, this is the hellish one that you'll look back on, because in the Super Bowl, certainly the closer you get, the more painful it becomes. Yeah. But I think that pain is different from the pain of going, man, if we had just had our shot. You can at least, sleep knowing, all right, you'll go into that Super Bowl game fully prepared. You'll have everything in your life that you've always wanted to put into that game ready to go. But if you lose out on that opportunity right now, there's I think a deeper sadness that comes with it.
I'm just curious, because you mentioned the time you lost to the Cowboys and they went on to win it. I've always wondered this. Does the team that sort of gets eliminated by the team that goes on to eventually win the Super Bowl, do you take any solace out of the fact that at least the team that beat us was the team that won it all?
Listen,
is there anything you take out of that?
It's one of 2 ways. There's the time when it's the Eagles and Cowboys, and there's the hatred between the two. There's the, well, yes, at least we lost to the Super Bowl champ. There's the, oh yeah, but they're from our division.
Right.
So did we want that? It all depends on the individual. I'm always one of those, if I lose to the team that eventually wins it, that kind of gives me a little bit better of a feeling.
Right. At least we went out to the best team.
There would be something if we lost to that team and then that team gets smoked the next week or something. So, yeah, if you lose to the team that eventually wins it, I think that gives you a little more oomph. Yeah,
absolutely.
I would agree.
Okay, so that's something that's in play here in the conference championship games. And then we've got Glovegate.
Oh, boy.
Handgate.
Handgate.
Tom Brady, for those that aren't aware, the Patriots quarterback, has missed 2 straight media sessions and did not practice yesterday. He was out there stretching and warming up, but he did not take a single snap on Thursday, which is the most important padded practice of the week. And the reason why, because he had his hand jammed by a teammate earlier in the week. He came out there with 2 gloves, one on his left hand and one on his throwing hand, something he never, ever does. And he's supposed to speak to the media today. We'll find out whether or not he actually does one more time. So what is it? What's going on with Tom Brady's right/throwing hand? Well, that kind of depends on who you talk to. Mm-hmm. Here's what our teammate and former Patriot Teddy Bruschi said on the 6 o'clock Sports Center about what's going on with Tom Brady's right hand.
I don't think this is serious. I don't think Tom even would hit it on somebody's helmet. No one would ever get close like that. I'm assuming that it was a handoff. It was a handoff to a running back. He sprained a finger, sprained a thumb. He'll be okay.
Okay, so there's Teddy Bruschi saying, and nobody knows the Patriots better than Teddy. However, that is not the consensus among everybody that is dealing with the Patriots. Here is our Patriots reporter, who is as plugged in and dialed in as anybody that covers this team, Mike Reese, with his take on what's going on with the hand of Tom Brady.
This isn't something to dismiss as insignificant, but they do believe it is something that Brady can manage, and it might affect him in Sunday's AFC Championship game to a degree here. And here's the thing, the Patriots' actions have reinforced this. They have just 2 quarterbacks on their roster, and if they felt like Brady couldn't play, they probably would have made a move for a 3rd quarterback. But it is significant that Brady was not at practice today. This was a full pads practice, their most important practice of the week.
So that's where we are. Yeah. Brian Hoyer took all of the first team reps in this practice. And going back to the glove thing, which makes it a little more curious, Mike Reese, again, he does a great job, tweeted this out yesterday from a conversation that somebody had with Brady on December 29th, 2017, because we're talking about cold weather games, on how Brady feels about wearing gloves during games when the weather was in mind. Quote, "Early in my career, I tried using a glove on my throwing hand a little bit. It didn't go too well. I think it's better without." So when those words come out of Tom Brady's mouth less than a month ago, and then you see him out there with 2 gloves, not only on his left hand, but also on his right and throwing hand, it makes you wonder what's on that hand, what's wrong with that hand, and is there something on that hand that he doesn't want people to see?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt. He doesn't want anybody to see the hand. He doesn't normally wear 2 gloves. So, or he just knew he wasn't practicing and wanted to keep his hand warm. But I'm more thinking that he wanted to keep it covered up. He wasn't at the 2 times he was supposed to talk this week.
Correct.
He didn't talk. I'm sure he didn't want to have anybody get a look at the hand, whatever it is. You know, we sit there and we hear sound. I'm not there. Teddy Bruschi, we got to believe. Now, is he still in getting the inside information? I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe he is, to know how he hurt his hand, because he said he doesn't think it was a defensive player. Now, that may be a way of kind of getting the defensive players, of which one he was one, off the hook, saying nobody would get close enough to Tom on that. And listen, there is the cone around a quarterback. Believe me, I know that.
Wall.
There is absolutely the cone. But, man, you never know. You're doing blitz period. You get a blitzer. A lot of times we'll run in and kind of go by the quarterback. People get close to the quarterback. So is it out of the realm that he could have thrown the ball and hit his hand on someone? Absolutely not. Absolutely could have done it with a handoff as well. So I agree with Teddy saying all the different ways it can happen. He kind of took the defense out of the equation.
Yeah, that was transparent, man. That was Teddy caping for his side of the ball, and so locked in the Patriot way. Like, there is no way a defensive player for the Patriots would have ever been inside the cylinder. That is not the Patriot way. Like, all right, man. Like, listen, I know defensive players pretty well. You guys are pretty apt at finding your way into the cone. That is the number one source of fights in the midst of football practice.
You're right.
Is a defensive lineman usually finding his way into the cylinder with the quarterback. Now it becomes interesting with Brady because you look at this. There's clearly something. Like, what extent to this we'll see determined.
Right.
None of us are anticipating Brian Hoyer actually trotting out there and starting. But to the point you always bring up when you've got a player injury, if it's something wrapped, if it's something taped a little extra, your number one inclination is to test it a little bit. Now, hitting Tom Brady as a means of cutting off the heads of the snake is not an unusual tactic.
You want to do it anyway.
But if you even get close now, if you do get in that cylinder where he's following through, and he's got to think about that a little bit, where that hand, if that maybe is the way that it came about, and all of a sudden when people and bodies are close around, if he's thinking about following through and hitting that hand again, does a ball sail a little bit? Because the margin for error against this defense last week, with two of the best offensive weapons in Bell and Antonio Brown, was razor thin. So if you sail even a little bit, those DBs are right there, stuck on everything like glue, and those are the balls that are difference makers.
And also, depending on the injury, is it a thumb, which would make it hard, you got to grip that ball. And also, defenders, when they come and rush, what do they normally do? They chop. They're going to chop at that right arm, right hand, so he can get that thing chopped again. But again, we don't know what the injury is. A finger, a hand, closer to the wrist, a thumb. We don't know.
Well, Ben Volen, who was on with Fitz in Spain, who works for the Boston Globe, said they were examining the pictures of that right gloved hand as much as possible, and it looked like there was something under the glove on the thumb.
Right.
If it's the thumb, it becomes increasingly more significant because that's the grip pressure. That's holding the ball. That's where you get the touch. Volen said he thought on a scale of 1 to 10 it was a 6 or 7. So I think the actions tell us a couple of things. Number one, the fact that the Patriots have not signed another quarterback believes that they think Tom Brady will find a way to play. However, the fact that they have canceled 2 media appearances and he didn't practice also tells us that it's something. We don't know what it is, but it's something that is bothering him and the team to a certain degree.
I agree, because, Mike, as we know, it's a big practice on Thursday.
Yeah,
I mean, without a doubt, it's a big practice on Thursday.
For the offense, I saw Dante Stallworth tweet this out yesterday. It's third down. Yeah. It's a big day. You do the run install on the first practice of the week, so in the NFL it's Wednesday, and then Thursday is that third down package. So it is no doubt a huge day. So what happens going forward, this is going to be huge.
And we may get some juice because during this show, Bill Belichick has his presser at 9 o'clock or 9:05, so this show goes to 10. Maybe we get some good info.
Well, he's not going to get out there and say, here's what happened. It's a fourth metatarsal sprain right between.
We're going to get such a great explanation of this.
Let me put it this way. Unlike the tweets we want from you guys, he will not be oddly specific in any way, shape, or form.
Golic and Wingo, the podcast.
Trey Wingo and Mike Golic Sr. The common thought has been about NBA Commissioner Adam Silver is that he has been very progressive.
Yes, he has.
And very, very forward-thinking in a lot of ways that has been really great for the NBA. And we can certainly attest to that here at ESPN. Our ratings are up double digits on NBA games. The league is fun. It's interesting. It's exciting. This past week, it's been a little fighty, a little angry, a little breachy, all that kind of stuff that makes for interesting talk and tension. But we're getting to the All-Star game, which is going to be February 18th, I believe, correct?
I believe so.
And they're doing things differently this year. Instead of conference, East versus West, basically we have the 10 starters, we have the 2 captains, Steph Curry and LeBron James, and then they're going to pick their squads. And this sounds wonderful. It'll be like the old school, I want that guy, fine, I want that guy, and the intrigue of who did he take, why did he take, and where did he go with that guy? Except we're not going to see any of that.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
They're not televising it. It's not going to be made public as to how these teams are selected and who they picked and why they picked him in that order.
To me, it's a waste of time then of doing this. I mean, I don't know why you're doing it if you're not letting people in on this. That's the fun of this is you're picking this person, and like you said, Trey, why? So we don't know how they're really going to do that. They may pick the names out of a hat. They may pick them and then they may rearrange them so it fits up as a better matchup. So I think they absolutely, for as much as they've done good, and you just listed a lot of the things, Trey, I think they blew this one. And they did it because of the players and their hurt feelings. I mean, to me, it just sounds ridiculous. Now, LeBron said he wishes it were televised. John Wall says he wishes it were televised. Maybe it's easier to say that when you know it's not going to be televised, that you wish it was.
Well, it's easy to say that when you know you're not one of the guys that's going to get picked last.
It's exactly right, and he's actually one of the guys that's picking. So I think they blew this one. From 2011 to 2015, the NHL did this, and the players bought in. They had fun with it. One of the things the NHL did is if you were picked last, you got a car. In fact, the first year they did it in 2011, it was Phil Kessler that got the car. You had times where
Kessel.
Kessel, I'm sorry, Kessel, that got the car, who had Alex Ovechkin at one point holding up a sign that said, "Don't pick me," because he wanted to be last to get the car. The players all bought into it and had fun with it, but we're worried about hurt feelings from these NBA players, but that's the intrigue that would have made this fun. Now, to me, it's a complete waste of time and means nothing.
Commissioner Earthworm Jim let us down. There's no doubt about that.
Earthworm Jim.
And I think because the real shame of it is that's been the intrigue in the NBA for the last few seasons, especially is the off-court drama. It's why the Knicks were relevant for so long last year.
The off-season for the NBA has been almost as much fun as the regular season because of all that stuff.
It allows everyone to be relevant regardless of record and regardless of the gross talent gap between Golden State and everyone else. I don't know why you don't continue to lean into that. And that's how you know, by the way, the point that you've gotten, because Rachel Nichols brought that up on The Jump the other day. When basketball people are invoking the name of hockey, you know we're desperate for the juice, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know we're so thirsty for this model that we're willing to bring up hockey and basketball spheres for it to happen.
Well, here's NBA Commissioner Adam Silver a couple weeks ago. I think he was in London when he was asked about this. He said, look, this is a new initiative, so it may develop over time in terms of how teams are selected. Yes, it would be more fun if we had a public draft. On the other hand, I recognize that in picking a team to perform in the here and now, it's a little different than drafting. Silver went on to cite a sense from the players, end quote, that it could put them in a compromising position to publicly choose one player over the other. To which I say, so what?
So what is?
What?
Like, are you serious? We're all adults here, aren't we? I mean, I guess not, but at times. But I mean, are you kidding? These are all-stars. These are the greatest players in the world, and they're going to get petty about where they're picked and get their feelings hurt?
I mean, these guys all went through the draft, right?
Yeah.
Like, we did this already.
Wouldn't you want to see whether or not LeBron would take Kyrie?
LeBron gets the first pick, by the way, because he had the most votes. Who would be your first pick? Again, here's the starters in the East. And again, he can pick any of them.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving, DeMar DeRozan, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid, and then LeBron, obviously. And in the West, it's Steph Curry, but he's a captain, so can't be picked. James Harden, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, and DeMarcus Cousins. So you're LeBron. Trey, who are you picking first?
For the intrigue, Durant, but I think I might pick Giannis first and foremost, just because he gets the name Freak for a reason.
Who are you picking?
Yeah, I'd probably go KD on this one. That seems like a pretty easy one, but to that point,
see what we can do.
Yeah, well, exactly. Like, I'm going for the max amount of like what we can showboat through the course of this game, so I want length and athleticism.
Here's who I'm taking. Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
And then I'm telling Cleveland, look at how well we play together.
That's very good.
Look at this big guy in the middle and me out here and what we can do. Go get him.
Well, and that's
who's not wanting that? Kevin Love. No, don't make that pick. What are you doing? See, this is why. This is why it's interesting.
Oh, it'd be awesome.
If he picks Anthony Davis, yeah, look how great these two work together. Meanwhile, Kevin Love is somewhere watching. Why are you doing this to me? What are you doing?
This would be the very real life version of us combing through NBA Instagram likes to try and find out what these guys are saying. It's taking all of that and putting it in a real life setting, basically Survivor style. And I don't know. This is one of the few areas the NBA has always been out in front of everything. Like, we always criticize the NFL for being reactive. The NBA has been proactive, and here they dropped the ball.
Well, look, he said it could be revised over time, and I guess he was on some level. Look, one of the things that Adam has done better than any other commissioner in recent memory, not just the NBA, but in any of the major sports, he listens to the players. He listens to the players. So clearly, this was a message that the players sent to Adam.
Well, I completely agree. And as he said, it can develop over years. But you know what? This one is on the players. This is on you players, and you greatest players in the world. To not want to do this because your feelings may get hurt is amazing to me. It just blows my mind.
Well, we heard enough from the really good guys at the top who said that they would have been all for televising it. So who's the one? Like, who's the snitch?
I'm sure it's more than one.
Well, I mean, then you know what? I guess who were the guys that were the ones that went complaining to Dad?
Well, didn't Carmelo Anthony come out and say that players' feelings may get hurt?
Yes.
So again,
to which we respond,
so? If your feelings get hurt, that's a you problem, okay? I mean, this is supposed to be the entertaining part of it. You guys have been picked as the starters, the best players in the NBA, the best players in the world, and you're going to have an issue with this? In fact, I'm amazed.
Shouldn't we take it one step further? Like, not only should this have been televised and we see who it is and we see how this plays out, but how about during the game, after every quarter, the least likely or the least most contributed guy in your team, he gets traded to the other team. you ship him off to the other side. He has to go
What
play
does the other team want him for?
They got to give one back.
They got to give one back.
It's like it goes like Survivor style. The tribe is spoken. You're out.
Let's let Twitter do it. Live vote during the game. You get to vote someone off the team after every quarter.
These are all wonderful ideas.
Scott tweeted this in, and I don't know if it's true, but if it is, that's fantastic. He said, also important to note, in the NHL players, when that draft was going on, they were drinking during the draft.
Everybody wins.
Awesome would that be?
Everybody wins.
That's what we need more of. You want players to be more actively involved because, listen, that's part of the fun in the Pro Bowl and any of these get-togethers is these guys who aren't normally teammates together get together. I saw an interview that Eli Manning did from the Pro Bowl the other year. And I don't want to, insinuate anything, but it seemed like there was an altered state involved there, which is great. You guys are hanging out by the pool all day. You always hear these stories, especially when the game was in Hawaii, about guys racking up big bar tabs by the pool.
And that's why the game got serious at the end, so you get the winner's share.
Exactly.
What did Peyton once say at the NFL Pro Bowl, talking about Mike Vander? That's our idiot liquored up kicker.
But I mean, in the NHL, you hear stories about that where these guys were together and they were ribbing one another and having fun with it.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you should be doing here. So it would be so great to have all these players, NBA players, in one room and the chatter going back and forth, the talking back and forth. It'd be great.
The drama is what makes it.
Now, this is meaningless. Yeah. This new way they're doing is completely meaningless if it can't be a public thing.
Yeah. How justify how you got there, how this thing came together. What do we always say? Why the NFL does Hard Knocks? People want to go behind the curtain. They want to see how the sausage is made. Sometimes they regret it, but they want to see how the sausage is made. And to your point about the NHL players, having worked as a local sports guy where you cover teams,
they're great, aren't they?
The NHL players were always the most low key, whatever. Happy to do this because they realize it's either this or maybe we're pumping gas in Winnipeg in February. And that's not so great.
You don't have to worry about them flying their private jets to exotic locations with each other during the offseason.
Why you got to bring me down again? We were here again.
There you go.
And you brought us down.
Yeah.
You are the show killer this morning. You are the buzz killer, and I'm not happy anymore.
Everyone has their role, Trey.
Golic and Wingo, the podcast. What a day, what a show, what a time.
I tell you what, a great sports night last night. No doubt about it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Hey there, I'm a glue stick, so I have one job. I glue kid stuff. So sorry for being jealous of Geico, who does a ton more. Like give you 24/7 access to thousands of licensed agents. And Geico has been around for over 75 years and has a 97% customer satisfaction rating. While I've just got mediocre adhesive skills, Geico also has an award-winning mobile app. Uh-oh, arts and crafts time. No eating the glue stick. Miss Lydia!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Let's bring in the man who knows the heartbeat of Philadelphia better than anyone. That's our own intrepid NFL reporter, Sal Paolantonio. Sal, good morning. Happy Friday before the championship game. Before we get into the game, your thoughts on the memo that the Philadelphia police have put out there already?
Well, I think it's a good idea. I mean, just putting everybody on a warning footing and saying, listen, it's going to get crazy one way or the other. Make sure that you protect your business. That seems like it's the prudent thing to do. I've covered Philadelphia cops for 30 years, and they're some of the toughest cops out there. So, and I've seen championships here 10 years ago with the Phillies. There wasn't any incidents at all. They had a couple million people for the parade on Halloween for the Phillies, right down Broad Street, and no business that I can recall was even damaged one iota. So it's the prudent thing to do. I don't know if you guys saw this in the Minneapolis Star Tribune, but this is really laugh out loud, funny and crazy. A reporter for the Minneapolis Star Tribune put out tips for Vikings fans going to Philadelphia, know how to behave for your own good. Now, this is some crazy stuff. If you want to wear Vikings gear, get good seats. I've found people to be more respectful of opposing fans there. Regardless of where you sit, don't taunt anyone. Not a good idea. Cheer for your team, but not against the Eagles. If you order a cheesesteak, know how to order it properly. You don't want to be made fun of. That's classic, right, Michael?
Oh, I love that.
That's the best part of that.
We've had presidential candidates come into South Philly for what wit or wit out is when you order a cheesesteak, and then of course it goes viral, and you lose half your votes. If Philly fans say they're cold, this is item number 4. Don't be pompous about how much colder it is in Minneapolis.
That is awesome.
Well, we'll find out just how much colder it is in Minneapolis in a couple of weeks.
That is awesome. All right, Sal. So to the game itself, and indeed,
by the way, just forget about if you're listen. I don't know how many people are listening in the great state of Minnesota right now. I'm sure a lot,
millions.
My advice, Trey, is don't wear Vikings gear to the game. Just don't
poke the bear.
Don't tempt the gods, please. Don't do it.
It's a shame because you should be able to wear your colors as long as you don't get belligerent out there doing it.
I have friends who come in from New York all the time, Giants fans, and I'm always like, listen, don't wear your Eli Manning jersey if you're coming to the link. Especially don't stroll around the parking lot. I mean, once you get into the stadium, fine, I get it. You can take off your jacket and wear your jersey, but you can't stroll around the Link parking lot with your Terrell Owens jersey and you remember when T.O. came back here? They tore the jerseys off people and lit them on fire in a big bonfire in the parking lot.
Oh yeah, it's always can be more drama in the stands and in the parking lot than on the field at times. That's for sure.
Real quickly to that point, Sal, there's a guy that used to work for us on NFL Live. He now works for NBC Sports, Comcast Sportsnet in Philadelphia. His name is Aaron Talazic, and he works on that 700 level show. And one day, as an experiment, he's a diehard Eagles fan. He put on a Cowboys jersey and started walking around the parking lot outside the Link just to get the reactions of fans, of Eagles fans.
Did he make it out alive?
He made it out alive. That was the over-under, what I get through without being physically harmed. And then they realized it was all a bit for the 700 level show. They're like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. So to your point, that is a very, very well thought out path to take.
And Trey, the thing is, there were a lot of quotes coming out of the Vikings locker room yesterday about, we're not worried about the fans and the atmosphere and the climate. I mean, Michael, Michael, tell people how different it is in Philadelphia. There's a level of creative venom that you just don't get anywhere else.
No, there is, Sal. But as a player, why should they're not going to be concerned about it? I'm with them. I wouldn't be concerned. I mean, going to play in Oakland in the black hole, you don't let that affect you. But the fans certainly can get boisterous, and I'm sure they will. How about from the player side? Are the players still really hanging on to this underdog thing, or is that kind of settled down a little bit?
Absolutely not. In fact, I reported on SportsCenter very early in the week, Michael, that Doug Peterson got in front of the team meeting and said, outside noise, all the clutter, get rid of it. We're not going to win this game strictly on emotion. We have to focus on our execution and our game plan and preparation to beat the Vikings. And it has really resonated because their practice, as I reported on Sports today, their practice on Wednesday and yesterday was, I was told, at a very high intensity level, that the coaches were really hammering home, cleaning up the mistakes that they had against Atlanta. Those 3 special teams mistakes, you don't survive them in a month, less in a half of football in the postseason. And, as I reported, Doug Peterson talked to Dave Phipp, the special teams coach, on Sunday and on Monday about how important it is to pay attention to details and get on players about knowing the situation.
You're exactly right. Sal Paolantonio with us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. And Sal, to your point, the Eagles have to play a cleaner game of football than they did against the Atlanta Falcons because You mentioned the sloppiness on special teams. Look, they got lucky in a couple of situations that the ball literally bounced their way. The fumble at the goal line where it just sort of was sitting there for Nick Foles and he fell on it and they initially ruled a touchdown and then of course it was overturned and the next play LeGarrette Blount takes that in. And then there was the play before the half where there was a Foles overthrow and it goes right to Keanu Neal, the safety of the Falcons, who proved once and for all why he's not a wide receiver as the ball bounces off his knee and goes straight into the arms of Torrey Smith, and that play allows them to kick a 53-yard field goal at the half, which, by the way, if they didn't get, the Falcons, all they would have needed was a field goal at the end of the game instead of a touchdown to win. They were -2 on the turnover differential. You rarely win with a -2 turnover differential in the NFL playoffs. How important has he stressed, Doug Peterson, to his team about playing a cleaner game of football?
Yeah, there's no question, Trey, that it's very difficult when you have three special teams gassed like they did and you put the ball on the ground. It's nearly impossible. But let me flip the script on you a little bit. And if the ball doesn't hit Brian Bremen's derriere and the Falcons get that short field, I think the Falcons are hard-pressed to score against Jim Schwartz's defense in that game and might not have scored a touchdown. I think the Eagles' defense right now is, while they have gotten accolades and while the numbers are there and we all know the numbers, what Schwartz is preaching is the team's not going to score. I think the Eagles' defense is one of the more underrated units going in to this championship Sunday. Schwartz preaches, all right, they'll get their yards, whatever they want to do. We'll get some yards after the catch. We understand that, but they're not getting in the end zone. And I think the formula is very simple, and it's working. And it's pretty interesting because they're not a blitzing team per se, but that safety blitz that he dialed up on first and after a major special teams gaffe when Elliott kicked the ball out of bounds and the Falcons had 1st and 10 on the 40. And I talked to Matt Ryan after the game, and he told me he had Julio Jones screaming on a post route wide open, would have gone for 6. But Jim Schwartz dialed up a safety blitz on the weak side, which the Eagles never, ever do. And I don't think they did it all year. But Schwartz had the presence of mind to call that safety blitz on the weak side. Matt Ryan did not see it coming. It was a free, clean rush right at Matt Ryan, and they got him down on the ground. And I think it changed the momentum in the second half.
All right, Sal. Well, we are looking forward to this one. I mean, it should be a great win in Philly. The fans are going to be ready to go. I'm sure the players will as well. So you enjoy it, and I'm sure we'll talk to you after.
We'll be playing tackle football in South Philadelphia before, during, and after the game.
There is no. Hey, look, that's the sport of Philadelphia. Is actual tackle football.
That's exactly right.
Sal, as always, we appreciate it, my friend.
Sal.
Thanks so much.
See you guys.
Golic and Wingo, the podcast. It was all sort of one big giant Jell-O mold.
It's very interesting where that went.
A big part of that defense joins us now on the Shell Pennzoil Performance line, and that is cornerback A.J. Bouye, one of the great offseason signings by the Jacksonville Jaguars. A.J., thanks for being with us. Give us the mood of your team as we get closer and closer to Championship Sunday. How sort of not thinking about all the history and not caring about that is this Jacksonville team right now?
I think you kind of just nailed it on the head right there. We're not really caring. We're just more focused on what's ahead with the game plan. You've seen that started Monday, getting ready for this team. So if I could just sum it up in one word, like I said, focus.
You know, AJ, one of the things that you don't see a lot in the NFL is between draft picks and free agent signings, it all actually hit.
Right.
And you get to this point. So talk about that. You coming in after your 4 years in Houston, different free agents coming in, young players and draft picks coming in. Talk about how quickly you guys were able to gel together as teammates.
I really think that it just started in the off-season workouts, just the competition that we had, just working out, conditioning, everything like that. We started building the chemistry. I already knew what these guys were capable of because I've seen them play, and that just shows you a good job in the front office that they did of just doing the scouting just for the draft and for free agency. And I believe that's why we're all coming together.
Well, you're right. GM David Caldwell has done a great job getting not only you in free agency, but Calais Campbell, Malik Jackson. And to Mike's point, he's hit on so many draft picks. There were a bunch of them that were injured now, but they're all coming up and just swarming to the ball. Where is the confidence level of this team? Because we all talk a lot about Jalen Ramsey and the things that he likes to say. He's already predicted a win here and a win in the Super Bowl. What is the mindset of this team right now in terms of their confidence level going into this game?
We're locked in. The confidence is high. The only reason why I say that is because we know the work that we put in on and off the field, extra film room, extra preparation, whether we're with each other at somebody's house is just watching film, just talking about football. Our coach is doing a great job of just getting us prepared. It's been all week, and that's how it's been all season. So when we get out there on the field, we're just out there having fun and making plays.
So we're talking to A.J. Bouye, cornerback for Jacksonville, as they go up to New England to play Tom Brady and the Patriots. What has been the talk in the locker room about the Tom Brady hand injury?
We don't pay attention to that. We just look at that like a distraction. We know that he'll be out there come Sunday. We're not worried about that. When he's out there on the field, he's 100% either way he goes. So everybody talks about the injury that Blake has, but you see how he's been throwing it. So we're not even worried about that. We're just focused on coming Sunday, making plays.
All right. Well, A.J. Bouye with us on Golic and Wingo here. And you mentioned your quarterback, Blake Bortles, and he has been a guy that people have very strong opinions about one way or the other. He struggled in the passing game, obviously in the playoff win over the Buffalo Bills, but then he hit the throws that he had to make in the Steelers game, and also kept a bunch of drives alive in both of those playoff games with his legs. What's the feeling in the locker room about your quarterback? We all have our opinions on how we see him. How does the team see Blake Bortles?
His confidence is getting higher and higher. And last week, like you said, he made some great throws, some great plays, and we've seen that from Blake, but it hasn't been all year. But just the consistency that he's been showing lately towards the end of the season, that's what's all that's mattered. And he looks good in practice. We just have a lot of confidence in him because without him, we wouldn't be where we are, too.
In looking at this team you're going to play in game planning, watching tape, and getting a game plan ready for a Tom Brady offense, in your mind, when you play him, a guy that's been around for so long and has accomplished so much, what's the biggest challenge he is to you guys? What does he do that could be the biggest threat to you guys?
He makes the right decisions all 60 minutes of the game. So the biggest thing for us is just try to force turnovers, just try to get them rattled and everything like that. Everybody's tried to do that every game, and then some teams succeed, some teams haven't, but we just have to be consistent and just stay in the game all 60 minutes.
A.J. Bouye with us, the Jags Pro Bowl cornerback, one of their great offseason signings in free agency. Look, we all know what the Patriots want to do, A.J. They want to spread you out, and then they want to hit Gronk over the middle. And he is the guy that's the ultimate mismatch. So many people have tried different ways to try and slow him down and take him out of the game. How do you approach a guy that is that gifted physically? And what kind of things are you guys going to try and do to slow down what Gronk can do over the middle of the field?
We know that he's a challenge. You see it with every team that tries to cover him. He's always a mismatch and everything like that. But we got some athletes on our defense. So at the end of the day, we're just going to go out there and play football and make plays. No matter who's on them, like I said, we're going to go out there and play. We got confidence in our players. We see it every day in practice. We've seen it in the games consistently, so we know what we're capable of.
The confidence level very high on your team, especially on that defense, as well as some of the trash talking. Where do you fit in? Jalen Ramsey, Malik Jackson's had some things to say. Where do you fit in? Are you a trash talker out there? Where do you fit in this group?
Sometimes on the field, yeah, but when it comes to outside of that, you're not really going to hear me say anything. I told Jalen the other day, I just said, what you say out there in the media, that's what we all want to say. So, we'll just let you go ahead and talk about it.
Do you ever every once in a while say, Jalen, can we dial it back like 90 to 90%? I mean, do we really want to poke the bear when you're talking about the Patriots?
No, because at the end of the day, he's just being him. We accept him for who he is because we know the competitor he is, and we know the work that he puts in every day in practice. And then he backs it up in the game, so no need to try to contain him and tell him to be something he's not.
Hey, you guys have walked the walk and talked the talk and walked the walk, 54, 55 sacks, 21 interceptions, a fantastic defense. But for a minute, you've talked about your team. We'll give you a minute here to talk about your college team, Central Florida, where you went to school. How about the year they had?
Oh, man, they had an amazing year, man. I'm just glad they whooped up on another SEC team. I remember when I was there, we beat UGA. At the end of the day, they kind of remind they kind of remind me of our team. We're not going to get respect either way it goes. I don't see how you go undefeated and don't get enough respect, but they'll do it again next year, and then we'll be talking about them in the playoffs. So I'm definitely not worried about that.
Well,
That's
listen,
cool. Yeah.
Are you going to get your UCF National Championship shirt?
Shoot, I got to go back to Orlando and go grab it then.
Hey, AJ, we appreciate you being with us. We know you got a meeting to run to. Thanks so much, and best of luck. And most importantly, have fun. Although I don't think that's going to be a problem for this team.
You guys
have
do that.
fun and enjoy the moment Sunday in the AFC Championship game.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Y'all take care.
Golic and Wingo, the podcast.
Let's not expect too much. There's only one person out there that's expecting way too much out of this guy too early. We know who that is. It's his father.
This is 5 Point Stance on Golic and Wingo.
All right, here we go. 5 Point stance. The Jags beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh and advanced to face the Patriots in Foxborough, just like the 2007 postseason when they lost to the Patriots. They're the 10th team to face the Steelers and Patriots in the same postseason. Only the 76 Raiders and the 2015 Broncos beat both, and they both been on to win the Super Bowl. But there's a difference there, Mike. Unlike the Jaguars, those two teams won both games at home.
Right. These on the road. And I tell you, one of the best stats out there for Jacksonville when you're going against a Tom Brady, who is obviously one of the greats of all time, but also a stationary quarterback.
Yep.
Who, as I said earlier, will hit the deck and live to fight another play. Jacksonville pressured opposing quarterbacks 33% of the time this season. That's second best in the NFL. Despite blitzing just 17% of the time, that's the lowest in the NFL. So that is four-man rush.
Right.
They get pressure. They get sacks. You got 7 back to cover how you want to cover. That is you want to talk about a feather in the cap. That's why 55 sacks, 21 interceptions, when you can pressure with just those front 4.
Listen, and they have the guys that can cover so you can pressure with those.
The athletic linebackers
well.
in this one. We talk about the Ramsey and Bouye, the corners, and Church at safety and what he's been doing. But first off, give it up for Posluszny.
Right.
Paul Posluszny,
a guy that they brought over a few years ago.
But he's been in the league forever.
Yep.
And, he's that run-stopping guy who'll go out on the pass plays because they have such athletic linebackers and a Miles Jack and a Telvin Smith as well. Really, really impressive athletic ability by those linebackers.
By the way, Telvin Smith yesterday talked about the point where he got the unsportsmanlike conduct, got a fine for $10,000.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm sorry, I take it back. Please don't fine me. And we were like, bro, no, you should have said I was pointing to somebody in the stands.
Yeah, there you go.
I wasn't pointing at the opposing Pittsburgh player. You just lost your appeal right now by saying that. Look, deny. Say it was somebody else.
It's our friend.
Maybe you have a chance of knocking it down from 10 to 5 or 7,500. He laid it all out there. He's not getting any of that 10 grand back.
No, he's not.
We continue in our 5-point stance. Look, the Jags led the NFL in rushing this season, 141 yards per game. They've been relying even more heavily on their run game in the postseason, averaging 160 rushing yards in their 2 wins. The 3 teams to beat Brady, Belichick, New England in the playoffs all rushed for at least 120 yards and a TD. Those 3 teams averaged just about 158 yards rushing in those wins.
And it's so we always talk about, obviously, the running back in this and Leonard Fournette. You got to give it up for that old line. What they do. Remember, they have a rookie at left tackle on Cam Robinson,
right?
The kid from Alabama. They have the highest paid center. Not a lot of that is a timing issue, but he's a good center in Brandon Linder. But it's an old line where I don't imagine a lot of people can name who the starters are, but you got to give it up to them. And there's a couple of teams in this class, like Minnesota. It changed the entire, basically starting 5 and how it's changed for them in rushing the ball this year. So while Fournette's going to get a lot of the love, and certainly Bortles as well, who's been running well, give it up to the 5 guys up front and the tight ends who come in and block. They're doing a nice job.
Yeah, and Bortles has been a big part of that.
Yeah, yes. He has.
He didn't do as much in the Steelers win as he did in the Buffalo win, where he actually had more rushing yards than passing yards. But see, that's why I think that's the one thing that won't happen Sunday. I know Bill Belichick is looking at that tape and seeing how they extended drives. He said, guys, let's put a spy on the end here. If you can't get there, it's kind of like a mush rush.
Yeah.
Let's make sure. And by the way, how odd is it? We're talking about Blake Bortles defending him as a running quarterback now. I mean, he's a little more athletic than I think people give him credit for.
Yes, he is.
But Bill will make sure that what you consider to be your success, that's the thing they're going to try and take away more than anything else. All right, how about Tom Brady, looking to become the first quarterback to win multiple playoff games after turning 40? Brett Favre is the only other quarterback to even start or win a playoff game after turning 40. He went 1-1 in that year with Minnesota when they went to the NFC Championship game, and they lost. They won the divisional round, and they lost in the NFC Championship game when he threw that interception late across the middle to New Orleans. That game eventually went to overtime, and the Saints won it in overtime and went on to beat the Colts in the Super Bowl that year. But Brady really hasn't slowed down. He's averaging 47.6 pass attempts in the playoffs since 2014, compared to 36.5 in the postseason from 2001 to 2013.
See, here's the thing. With them, you never know how it's going to come out, right?
Yep.
They could come out and run the ball 15 straight times.
Yep.
Or throw the ball 15 or 20 straight times. You just don't know, and that's one of the things that's great about them is how they're going to attack you. What more do you need to say about Brady? That's why it's such a big thing we're talking about now is, okay, you're 40, you've had the Achilles issue, you've been on the injury report for your Achilles. Is there any effect there? And now this hand injury to where you didn't even practice on one of the big practice days out there. So that's all you can do on Brady is you expect a great performance. And if not, we look for reasons why.
Right.
Is it because of injury? Is it because of age? Is it because of the defense now they're going to face this week? But listen, he has created the list of reasons of why we talk so highly about him.
He had 53 pass attempts in the win over the Titans. 53.
Yeah.
Over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's why what you just said, everybody looks for something. Maybe it's the hand. Maybe it's the Achilles that he's been sore, a couple of times on the year.
Let me just say, if he throws 53 times in this game and Jacksonville only has 1 or 2 sacks and not a lot of pressures,
that's a problem.
That's going to be a monster win for New England there. I would find it hard to believe he would throw it 53, 54, 55 times and not be hitting the deck a few times.
Well, you're right. If that happens, Jacksonville, it's been a good run. Sure, as Bill Pito used to say when he was around these parts. How about neither the Vikings nor the Eagles have ever won a Super Bowl, going a combined 0-6 in the game. No teams without a Super Bowl win have reached the conference championship round as frequently as the Vikings or the Eagles.
How about that? Most conference championship games since the merger with no Super Bowl wins. The Vikings 9 times, Eagles 7 times, Bills 5 times. So, one of these teams is going to get there with a chance to win the Super Bowl this time around. I am... everybody is talking about, obviously, Brady and his hand and Jacksonville, that defense. I am really, really looking forward to this matchup a lot. There are so many great individual matchups in this game. I think these are at least set up to be 2 of the better games I think we're going to get in a while on conference championship
I think
day.
they're going to be fun. I
Yeah.
really do. I think they're going to be very compelling, very interesting, very close.
We thought that last week for the second day, and we almost got, wait a minute, 17 zip in one game, 21 zip in another game, and you're like, oh my God, where did it go? And they both ended up being, pretty interesting games.
Absolutely. And we'll finish up our 5-point stance. Case Keenum and Nick Foles were the starting quarterbacks for the 2015 Rams when they went 7-9, who had traded Sam Bradford to the Eagles prior to the season. According to the Elias Sports Bureau, this will be just the 5th time in the last 30 years former teammate QBs meet in the playoffs. The home team, by the way, won the previous 4, which would go the way of Nick Foles and the Eagles.
The other times, you go back to 2007 divisional round, Matt Hasselbeck, Brett Favre, Seattle, Green Bay, they were teammates, and that was also the time before in 2003 wild card game, Hasselbeck, Brett Favre. Then you go to 96 wild card, Jim Harbaugh for the Colts, Mike Tomczak for Pittsburgh, and 95 divisional game, Rodney Peete for Philly and Troy Aikman for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, the Jeff Fisher factor looms large here in this game. It really does. And Bradford is part of that, too, because he was drafted by Jeff Fisher and the Rams first overall in 2010, and he's still in the mix and looks like he's going to be active.
And you're only human. Do you think in a private moment, certainly you never talk about it publicly, maybe at home, that Case Keenum and his family are thinking, man, I'm going to get a lot of money.
Yes.
He'll never say it publicly. He's talking about team now. But, when you're at home just thinking what this leads to, you're doing pretty well. Going to get paid.
Look, I think that they're going to put the franchise tag on him.
Then he's going to get paid.
And then try and work out a contract. Because that franchise tag is always a placeholder. And for Case Keenum, that's a really good place to be in. I mean, Kirk Cousins got a 3,000% raise when they put the franchise tag on him. And Case might be coming close to that.
I don't even know. What does Case make? Brett, can you find out what Case makes? I mean, I know it ain't a lot.
Yeah.
I know
Brett,
it's not
get
a lot.
on that. What's the salary for Case Keenum? Because whatever it is, it's going to go up by a significant amount.
So much.
Golic
makes me want to vomit and then punch you square in the face.
And Wingo.
Oh, he's saucy today.
We still got a couple of games to get to, and let's start right now. Conference championship time. Time to pick them. Jags at Pats. Kick it off. Patriots minus 7.5. Who do you got?
All right. You know what? As a former, maybe I'm doing this because I'm a former defensive player, but I'm so buying into the Jacksonville defense. And I just think for what New England likes to do, and they do it well, Jacksonville matches up. Jacksonville's got D-line that can rush the passer just for athletic linebackers and really good cover corners. They match up. The big matchup will be with Rob Gronkowski. They're going to get to Tom Brady and the four-man rush. The New England's not going to be able to run wide, in my opinion, or throw wide. This defense is too fast, too athletic, and too aggressive. Not only will 7.5 for the points, or not only will I take the points, Jacksonville is going to win this game.
You're calling
Jacksonville
is
going to New England. I picked the Patriots to make the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year, so they make it. I picked them, but I'm going with what I see right now, and I think Jacksonville. I think they're going to be able to run. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. I know the Patriots do so well at cutting, taking your best away. Jacksonville is the number one rushing team. I don't know if they get a ton of yards, but I think they get enough to make that running game effective. Jacksonville gets the win.
So you've just covered your bets, basically, because you picked the Patriots before the season began, and now you're picking the Jags to win. So you could either way, you can say I called it.
Well, it would be
I called it either way.
Be kind of bad if the Patriots win and I say I called it, even though the week ago I predicted them to lose. But yes, I'm picking Jacksonville.
It's a fluid line with Mike. It's
Jacksonville
a fluid line.
Wins the game.
All right. Well, look, I love Jacksonville, and there's a large part of me, especially with now this little cloud of intrigue around Brady's hand, wants me to go there. But it's like betting against Alabama. They were down 13-0, and they made a quarterback change at halftime of the national championship. Alabama won. I'm going with the Patriots, and I also am going to give the points. I will take the Patriots. And that leads us to the Vikings at the Eagles, Philadelphia, and underdog again.
Underdog, number one, top seed in the conference, underdogged again. I love the Vikings defense. What's not to love? I love the receivers route running. I love Kyle Rudolph in the red zone, and we love what Case Keenum has done all year. But I also love what the Eagles have done as a team. I know they don't have Carson Wentz, but from the O-line to the D-line, they controlled that game last week. They can control the lines of scrimmage. They've done it well. This is my flat-out win. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles going to the Super Bowl to play Jacksonville.
He'll be playing Fly, Eagles Fly at his house all day Sunday. Well, I guess to counteract that, I'm going with Minnesota.
Okay.
I think they're going to be that team that is the first team ever to play a Super Bowl in their home stadium. We'll find out who's right.
Yes, we will.
We know you're covered when it comes to the AFC.
Yeah,
we'll break it all down on Monday. Enjoy Championship Sunday, everybody.
Peter.
This has been the Best of Golic and Wingo podcast. Make sure to subscribe on the ESPN app, Apple Podcasts, and to listen every weekday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and the ESPN app.
I'm a robot vacuum cleaner, so yeah, I got one gig. I suck up dirt. So pardon my inferiority complex about Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could they save their customers money on car insurance, but they got fast and friendly claim service too. And an award-winning mobile app. Plus access to licensed agents 24/7. Who am I kidding? I can't even do corners. Uh-oh, choking hazard.
Popcorn kernels.
Geico. Expect great savings in a whole